to my mind, there's two really important deadlines which we have to think about for the U.S. domestic solar outlook from a project development perspective, and reconciling how the tariffs and the recent policy changes will ultimately weigh out. The first is December 31st of this year. And if you are able to establish that you are starting construction before December 31st of this year, you don't need to comply with the new foreign entity of concern rules, which means basically you can procure your inputs from anybody who you would like to, right? You don't have to participate in the new restrictions. The second deadline to watch is July 4th, 2026.
Just to add a little bit of color on something that Herbert also touched on, we've done some math on what the taking away the PTCs means for PPAs, and we expect that if, let's say, you take an average PPA of $50 a megawatt hour now, if that rises by $15 a megawatt hour, a solar project is still meeting the return targets of utilities. And that's not a crazy, so going to 65, that's not crazy in an environment where tech companies are pushing so much to build power projects.
I think where we can begin is what caused the stock to drive down more than 30%. So the company unexpectedly reported results for the second quarter on Monday. They were supposed to do that on Wednesday. And that came with a 60 billion kroner capital increase. So that's roughly $10 billion or around 8 billion euros. And just for context, that is roughly 46% of what their market share was.
Just to give one vignette of this, there's a great report out in Ember earlier this week that Chinese solar cell exports are up significantly this year. So cell versus panel. And a lot of those cell exports are going to India, because in India now they have better module and panel manufacturing capacity, and they're using those Chinese cells to then sell into the U.S. markets, right, as finalized products. So there's a lot of dexterity and nimbleness in global supply chains, and I think over the next 2 or 3 years we'll see some creative ways that folks access the U.S. market.
Orsted will now dedicate roughly 40 billion of that 60 billion capital increase into fully funding Sunrise. We don't see a clear exit strategy for Orsted. They will probably need to hold the 100% of the asset throughout. So that means that the company, once we look ahead into 2028, there are very few growth options, at least in the US. So there might be a shift in capital allocation.